Most average plat slash gold players have no idea about the real potential of their weapon and how good it can be. We know that because we've seen some pros using our weapons. Maybe you've seen some clips of like Pavelski, for example, or like any other good players in general. It doesn't really have to be a pro. And you know deep inside there is so much more that you can learn about your weapon. It's just that you don't really know how do you exactly do that. But for the majority, bro, they always talk about how bad it is compared to lance or scythe.
Leave me alone!
They didn't even do the bare minimum to see any results. They keep switching from weapon to weapon, legend to legend. They learned all the dodge reads, but then they never apply it in game because they have no fucking clue on how to actually use the weapon, you know what I'm saying? And so their best excuse is that my weapon is not that good actually, no. My weapon is so difficult to play. My weapon is that's why I shut the fuck up, bro, honestly. Like, I'm going off topic here, but these people piss me off so much, honestly. On the other hand, you have pros who are one tricks, right? They don't mind being one tricks. Why? Because they are the best at what they do. They are the best at that one thing. They spent all of their game time mastering and understanding their weapon, and so they became the best in the world by following the simple steps that I'm gonna walk you through in this video. By the way, if you want to hit diamond as soon as possible and you cannot wait to become a good player, click the first link in the description. I got a method for you that works, right? And everyone who followed it so far have got some sick results, and I'm talking like 200 elo literally like a day or two, okay? And you don't even need to put in that much effort or time, honestly. You just need things to click and you'll get some crazy results, literally the same results as these guys, right? So check it out right now. You know, after a while of playing blasters, learning all the true combos, all that headache, honestly, of like reads, the combos, whatever it is, right? I remember this one particular time, right? I want you to imagine this with me, right? Basically, I was in training room for like an hour or so practicing my blasters and shit. Then I hopped into ranked. I got queued like this one weirdo shit players, like, you know, those guys with like the weirdest play styles, like that random ass play style that you can never predict or counter in your life, never. Keep in mind that this guy didn't even put 10 minutes into practice. He's not even trying to learn the game or anything. He does not care. So what do you think happened? Bro, I got shit on, bro. I got two-stocked by a guy who's not even putting half the effort I'm putting into becoming better. The confusion that I had in that moment of like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what's going on? What am I doing wrong? Like, how do you get better at this shitty game? All I wanted back then was just to defeat Lance. All I wanted was like 100 elo, bro. Holy fucking shit. When you compare that to right now, 7 months ago, I was like hard stuck gold, low plat, you know? Right now it's like completely two different players, honestly. So this season I got my new peak, and with that I got top 9 Brawlhalla global and top 3 Brawlhalla like in Europe. I hit like 2100 with blasters, you know? Yeah, I know. No one plays Brawlhalla. 2100 is nothing great. I know. You don't fucking need to tell me that. Like, the good players watching this video, they know that this is nothing and that 2100 is so fucking terrible. But you can only know that when you get to this point, right? But in my opinion, it's still something, right? It's better than average. It's way better than average, but my goal is not to be better than average. My goal is to be that guy, right? But it's still something. Like I said, it's still something. The reason why I'm telling you this is not to boast or anything, no, but just to show to the guys who are like one step behind. Again, I'm not saying, yeah, I'm more advanced than you, yeah, you should follow me, I'm better than you. No. I just want to show to plats and golds, or like even diamonds, honestly, watching this video, I was average, below than average, even hard stuck average. Imagine that. And it's possible to come out, you know? It really is possible, but it's only possible when you do the right thing. So my question for you here is that, do you want to walk the same way of someone who's been in the same position as you, or just take some random advice from someone who doesn't even know how hard it can be to get out of that disgusting elo, honestly? If your answer is yes, here is the no bullshit step-by-step guide that will make you a god with your weapon. Honestly, a fucking god with your weapon, and be one of those guys, right? By the end of this video, you will be completely and utterly equipped with the knowledge you need in mind. And all that is left for you, all that I'm gonna ask you to do, is to take actions on the things that I'm going to teach you here. And I'll show you exactly how you do that as well. A lot of people have asked me in the comments, can you make a Qatar's guide? Can you make a cannon guide? The blasters guide? Whatever it is, right? So I said to myself, why not make just this one guide that is beneficial for everyone and every weapon? Doesn't matter what's your choice, just follow the steps in this video, and with enough time and practice, you'll be able to join the top of the top. Number 1, learn the basics of your weapon. To be honest, I didn't want to include this part in the video because this has been already discussed a million times before in every other video out there, right? And my goal with this channel is to talk about what others didn't. But this step is still very important, and it's how you get your foot into the door, you know? I'm assuming most people watching this video already know about this advice. If you've already completed this step, then fair enough, just go ahead and skip to the next part of the video. But for those who still haven't finished this step properly, here's what you need to do. Learn all the true combos, learn the basic dodge reads, and have a main. You cannot go any further in this video if you haven't completed these 3 basic stuff. I know that you're tired of hearing this advice, but please bro, just go ahead and do it, man. It's how you get started. It's just how you get started, right? If there are some true combos that you still miss here and there, go in training and literally spam that shit. Literally repeat it up until you can do it like 10 times out of 10 without missing any time, up until it becomes like a muscle memory, right? Same thing with the reads, man. Learn the basic reads of your neutral attacks. We're going to discuss those in a bit, like the neutral attacks, right? I just want you to know that you don't need to learn every read for every single attack, for every single dodge. No, that's not how it works, bro. That's not possible or fucking optimal either way. Just learn the basics, bro. Learn the reads for those safe attacks that you throw more often than the other one. And there is a million videos on YouTube that cover these two, right? Mainly Lahakan's videos are the best for this, honestly. He really covered everything about a weapon when it comes to like the attacks, the reads, etc., right? The basics, right? So go ahead and learn those right now. And let's not forget that you want to have a main legend as well. Every legend is different from the other ones. For instance, let's say we have Yumiko and Magyar. Both of them use hammer. Because of their stats, the way you play these legends is entirely different, and this applies to every single other character as well. People don't realize how big of a difference is like 1 or 2 speeds. It's literally game changing, and you can only see the difference if you've played the game for long enough or you have already a main that is a very high level. So like I said, learn every single true combo, learn the basic dodge reads, and the most important one is to have a main. I cannot emphasize this enough. Watch this video to learn more about how to pick a main and why it's important in the first place. Number 2, creating your own playstyle. Now we get into the fun part. Crafting your playstyle. That sounds cool as shit, honestly. To develop your own playstyle, you first need to watch videos of skilled players utilizing the same weapon as you. Observe very carefully, take the bits and pieces that you like the most, and then add them into your own gameplay. And this is the first thing you want to do to become good at your weapon. Observe and learn from the experts. There are people who have already walked the way for you, and all you need to do is literally just follow the same footsteps as them, right? This doesn't necessarily mean copying every single thing they do and not being original at all, although that's something you can go for sure, but it's rather more like putting you on the right track and showing you the options that you can take from different players, and then you get to pick and choose your favorites to design your own unique playstyle. Okay, I hope this is making sense. So how do you exactly go about doing this part right here? It's so simple and straightforward if you follow these simple steps, right? Watch more videos of top players playing your weapon, or any good players, really, doesn't necessarily have to be a pro, and then pick one thing that you like about their playstyle and you think is like somewhat cool or can be effective for you. After that, you want to set the intention to do it in game, and then just watch your replays and look if you're having success or not when it comes to adding that new thing. So in the description, I made a list for you of the best players for every weapon that you can watch, and so just check the list in the description, okay? All you need to do is literally just go onto YouTube and search up their name and type the weapon that you play next to their name, okay? And this is actually how I improved my blasters by a ridiculous amount when I started out. I want to show you an example of how I did it, okay? I remember long ago stumbling upon this guy's YouTube channel named Cyan, and I watched one of his videos called the best blasters montage, okay? He's like a ADA blasters main, alright? And ever since then, bro, I was obsessed with doing the same shit as him, which is using nairs on blasters to read the jumps and reading the jumps, the fast falls, and the dodges after hitting my opponent with nairs. Basically, it's like playing blasters like it's Scythe, but vertically rather than horizontally, right? And Cody Travis did this as well sometimes, not just Cyan. So I knew I had to learn how to do that shit as well, bro. I wanted to be like those guys, bro, you know? Because not only it looks cold as shit, but it's also effective as hell, right? So that's how you take your weapon to the next level. And that's how you get started when it comes to these detailed improvements. It may be difficult at first when trying to add something new, and the best tip I can give you here is to just go for it, man. Don't worry about losing the stock, don't worry about the game, just go for it so that you can understand how to actually do it. And to get to that point, you need some failure, a lot of failure. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you here, you need a lot of failures, right? And that's totally fine. Like, who gives a shit, right? When you fail, just look at the video you chose, or like the clip that you want to add into your playstyle, and put it onto slow motion to learn carefully how do you actually do it and why did you fail. You know that sometimes like the difference is very, very small. It's like a small dash, a small fast fall. It's like a jump in between, but you didn't see it, or like maybe a chase dot sometimes, you know. And an extra tip that I want to give you here before you go into the next part of the video, it's crucial for this specific part of the video to know how to watch and review your replays properly. That made a whole guide that explains just that step by step, okay? And in that guide, I also mentioned how you need to remove the bad habits first before you start adding things into your gameplay, right? So that's something really important that you want to keep in mind. Number 3, use all of your attacks. To master your weapon, it's very important to become skilled in using all of its attacks. All of them, literally all of them, okay? All 6 attacks. Each move have its own strengths and weaknesses, and understanding when and how to utilize them will give you fantastic results. You want to practice using all of your attacks in different scenarios so that you can have a good understanding of their unique effectiveness, okay? I can guarantee that there is at least one attack, at least one. It's more like 2 or 3, but there is at least one on your weapon that you're not using at all. You either forgot about its existence or you think it's bad for some reason, right? Every single attack plays a role in a different specific scenario for it, and some attacks can be very good and play multiple roles, right? And so your goal here is to identify the role of all of the 6 light attacks of your weapon and understand when do they excel. And to help you with that, I'll be presenting the different types of role here in the video, and what you want to do is remembering to use that specific attack in that specific scenario for your weapon when you go in the future games. And again, in the description there is a document that shows every role for every attack, so check it out, okay? If you're like unable to figure out by yourself, check out the document. And that's your objective here with this section, okay? Identify the roles of every single attack on your weapon. I'm repeating myself here, so let's get right into it. Anti-air / offstage / juggling tools, right? You simply want to use this option when your opponent is above you or jumping in the air. That's it. That's all you need to know about this role. The wall / get away from me wake up tools. These are the perfect attacks to throw when your opponent is consistently pushing toward you, or like playing kind of like super aggressive. So you just put kind of like a wall in front of you to prevent them from pushing any further. You can also use them for wake ups because they come out instantly so that you don't get punished or miss, right? Stacked tools. Use these attacks when you're stacked with your opponent and both of you are on top of each other, okay? Neutral tools. You want to use these options in neutral or when you're trying to attack first because they are safe to throw. They can lead to combos, and in general they have low risk with high rewards. If you don't know what's neutral, I made a whole guide explaining that, so you can check it out if you want. You also pretty much always want to identify where does your opponent go or dodge or do after these attacks, okay? Because you're gonna be using them the most, which means you're gonna hit your opponent the most with these attacks. And so you wanna make sure that you always know and read after hitting your opponent with a neutral tool, okay? Your punish tools. You don't approach with these attacks in neutral because they are easy to punish. They have high risk, but they come with high rewards as well. Meaning, you want to save them for the punish and only use them when your opponent is vulnerable or in a bad situation, okay? Safe edge guard. You want to use these moves if you want to edge guard somebody safely without getting hit. These are the moves like, for example, spear end light, blasters D light, blasters side light, scythe D light, etc. okay? Your offstage tools. These are your favorite options when you're fighting offstage. It's mainly going to be your aerial attacks, but there can be some exceptions as well. Finishing tools. When your opponent is red, completely stop attacking and fish for one of these attacks to hit them and finish them off. And on some weapons, you may need maybe a read or two after this hit, okay? Follow-ups and team combos tools. For all the tools players out there, I didn't forget about you guys. Use these options the most when you're trying to follow up after your teammate or do a team combo, right? So Hopefully, by now you know the roles of every single attack on your weapon. If there is one that you keep forgetting about, then make sure to use it in that specific scenario that I've just covered. And this is how you take your weapon knowledge to the next level. It's by having this autistic level details and understanding of every single attack. And then you go in game with intentions of applying what you've learned, okay? One thing at a time, okay? Remember that, one thing at a time. Number 4, learn the spacing of your weapon. This is another crucial aspect once again, which is learning the spacing. Each attack in this game has a specific range, and knowing the optimal distance to create between you and the opponent will give you a disgusting advantage over them. You want to control the spacing of your attacks to keep your opponent at a disadvantage all the time and create opportunities for yourself with every single attack. But how do you exactly do that correctly? First of all, you want to ask yourself, what range does your weapon fall into? Long range, short one, or a medium range? Keep in mind that it can be in more than just one category, right? And this border here will help you with. Once you know which category your weapon is in, you need to identify if your weapon is made for chasing or escaping. Generally speaking, with long range weapons, you want to be escaping and creating distance. With the medium range category, you want to be waiting for your opponent to somewhat like approach, and then you put a wall, like I've said before. Imagine like with axe, for example, you do end lights, and that end light prevent your opponent from moving any forward, or like prevent them from even running. Honestly, that's how you play the medium range. On the other hand, you want to be chasing and shortening the distance if you're using a close range weapon, because your attacks doesn't allow you to be far away from your opponents. Let me give you an example, right? Let's say a Diana player meets an Azuri player, okay? Now both of these characters are on the extreme side. Diana is the longest range character and Azuri is the most short range character, right? If the Azuri player plays passive and tries to run away from his opponent, he will most likely lose. But why is that? Because by creating a long distance, he's now unable to attack, right? This is common sense. He have short range attacks and so he cannot attack. And his opponent, on the other hand, will not struggle as much to attack because his weapon is literally designed for that situation, right? But if the Azuri stay really close and attack with Kotar's Nair, for example, you literally need to be stacked with your opponent to land that attack, right? The Diana will get absolutely destroyed if he's using blasters, for example, because Nair on Qatar's counter every single blaster's move. It's such a close range attack, bro. It's unbelievable. You enter that blaster's dead zone, you know, very easily. So you can see here that your movements and objectives can be different depending on your weapon's range, right? Now, this is not to say that you are forced to play a certain playstyle because of your character or because of your weapon. No, right? But just to make you realize that every weapon can excel at something. That's something you want to keep in mind. Now, once more, in the description, there is images of every weapon's hitbox, okay? I want you to get your weapon's image and look at it from time to time to understand how much space do you actually cover, okay? How big is your threat zone? What's the areas that you can cover and what's the areas that you cannot? What's the attacks you want to be using the most? What's your strongest attacks and how fast can they go? So answer these questions right now so that you can have them in the back of your head when you're fighting someone or when you hop in future games, all right? Number 5. Learn the situational options. Once you know the role for every attack on your weapon and you understand how far they can go, plus the distance that you need to create, this section is more about how and when do you actually use your attacks, okay? Best way to do that is really simply by copying pro, or just copy pro players, right? You want to find a pro player that you like who's using your weapon and then ask yourself the following questions, and we're literally gonna do this together right now, okay? So first question is how big or small the distance they're creating. Second question is what's the attack they're using the most, and the third question is what do they do when the opponent is outside of the range, inside the range, stacked above them / maybe diagonally upwards, right? Or maybe when the opponent misses an attack, what attacks do they go for? We got this clip by Impala and we're gonna try to answer these 3 questions together right now, right? So the first question is how big is the distance between him and the opponent, right? I just want to clarify very quickly that the distance and spacing is not something you really focus on when fighting your opponent. It's just something that you want to keep in the back of your head. And same thing here, right? So we're gonna watch, we just want to have an idea of how big is the distance, right? And the second question we want to answer, what attack is he using the most? And that's your neutral attack that you're going to be throwing out the most in your games. The third question is what attacks does he use in different scenarios? So for example, what attack does he use when the opponent is on the side, when the opponent is above him, when the opponent misses? What attack does he use to punish? When the opponent is in a bad position, what attacks does he go for? And so we're gonna watch together and we're gonna find answers together. This is one of my favorite games ever, right? So honestly, right? So far, like the opponent was on the side, he immediately went for a sidelight, like this, right? When the opponent was at the edge, he went for the sidelight. Let's keep watching. Opponent above him, he did an air, right? Okay, so you see end light as well. So when the opponent is in front of him, he did end light. Not at the side. At the side is more like here, right? But right in front of him, he did end light, right? And that's like the wall that I just covered before, right? So remember what I said, like there is like essentially like a wall that you put in front of you. So for blasters, it's going to be end light, right? Let's see. For punishing, he used D-light, as you can see. You only use D-light as a punish. Same thing, once again, the opponent is at the edge, he used sidelight. Right, D-light, because the opponent is like at a disadvantage, he's in a very bad spot, right? So you can see here, the opponent is getting hit, he's at the edge, he really needs to get out, he's in a bad position. And so Impala can afford going for this D-light, right? It's not a risk at all. D-light recovery. Side there to finish off. Remember earlier, like I said, you have one move to finish off your opponent, and so you stop throwing any other attacks and you focus on hitting that one move. And for blasters, it's side there. Can be D-light as well for punishes. Just keep watching. And so for about the distance, we can see it already, like this is the distance he's trying to create, right? Somewhat like this. And you can see actually, if you watch like the gameplay, it's very consistent. Like this distance, he's keeping it very consistently, right? Thinking about like how fast Brawlhalla characters moves, right? The fact that he's keeping this distance, you can literally tell like it's a very hard task to do, but he's doing it like very well, right? So that's this. You see how he's following him, right? You can see the distance, right? Look at the distance, it's pretty much the same, right? If the opponent is in front of him, you see how he did an end light? It was really close to hitting, right? Here's if the opponent is above him, see, punish the side there again, side light, right? Nair above him, nice, and downers, right? Yeah, so whenever the opponent is jumping, he uses nair right away, right? Down airs for off stage. Okay, so down airs, you see he's throwing a lot of down airs, right? Down air again, side light if he's on the side, down air again, D-light because the opponent doesn't have any options, doesn't have a dodge, sorry, and yeah, he's in a bad spot. When your opponent is in a bad spot, this is when you throw the risk move, right? So for blasters, the riskiest move is D-light because it takes forever to come out and it's very easy to punish, right? And so here the opponent doesn't have a dodge and he doesn't have a recovery. The opponent here, he have to go back to the floor, right? And so he can afford for this D-light. Nair, the opponent above him, nair, notice, down air again. See how he's using a lot of dares because it's a very safe move, down air once again. Watching, he tried to punish, so he used side air for the punishing air, there once more. So he punished the side there. See, the distance is the same as you can see, right? So we have a very clear image of what's going on here, right? Punish the side there again. End light as a wall, remember? Like I said, end light is the wall and you use it for wake ups as well. So that's the end light roll, right? So here the opponent miss. He doesn't have any options, he doesn't have any jumps, anything he's gonna land here 100%. So he can go for this side there. He could have actually went for side light as well, because the opponent didn't have anything. Same thing here. Okay, so the reason why he went for this nair, because the opponent didn't have a dodge, right? So that was confirmed. Downer again. Nair, the opponent above him. You see what I mean? Bro, if you can see these things, right? Delay recovery, fucking insane. Oh my god, bro. This guy is the best player in the world. Shout out to Impala, bro. But yeah, as you guys saw, what I just did here, right? So we've identified the distance, like we have a clear image on like how big the distance is. You see there, right? You see that? You see how big it is, right? The move he used the move he threw out the most is down air. He punished with side air. He finished with side air and D-light recovery. He put end lights when he missed or when his opponent is right in front of him. When the opponent is at the edge, he uses side light. That's how you learn a weapon. Just watch a pro player plays like this, and I'm pretty sure if you go in whatever any game randomly, look, down air right away. So down air is the move he used the most, right? If the opponent is at the edge right here, he would have used side light, but So here, this was like a prediction, right? He predicted that the opponent will land here, but he didn't. He landed on the platform, right? That was like a 50-50. Skipboard, look. Same thing here. Down air, side air for... Yeah, you can use side air sometimes for like, get away from me, essentially, alright? Side light on the edge, see? Side air to finish them off. And then down air for the offstage confirm, right? Oh, he survived. But yeah, you guys can see what I did here, right? All you need to do is literally do the same thing that I did right here. Just watch very carefully and ask yourself those 3 questions and you'll be able to get the answers. Something that I found really interesting that I wanted to mention here is that you see this guy right here, right? How he got free stocked, how he got deleted, right? This guy is 2500. He's better than 99.999% of players. And this is the only thing I still cannot fathom about this game. Like, how is it possible that the difference between pro players and Valhallans is this big? It's unbelievable. Like, I saw another video as well the other day of like, what's his name? Luna against the Valhallan with 8 stocks. And Luna, he still won. He was on 3 stocks. Like, what? I guess pro players have to understand the game to a deeper level, but then still these guys are putting in so much effort to get to this point. It's crazy. I want to hear your opinion about this topic, honestly, because I'm mind blown every time I see this kind of shit. So as you saw, we now have a clear picture on how to actually play the weapon as effective as possible, but make sure that the pro player playstyle you chose is something that you like and you want to be exactly like them, right? Not exactly, but you want to be somewhat similar to them, okay? You can go even further and beyond, honestly, and ask even more questions, like for example, how do they read after the neutral tools? That's a really good one, honestly. I should have put it with the other questions, but I didn't because I already recorded that part of the video, right? So you can also ask things like, how do they play off stage? What do they do off stage? How do they read off stage? When and how do they gravity cancel, etc.? Just like, I didn't put all of them because I thought it's not as effective as the first 3 questions, right? But if you have any of these questions, just check pro players, man. Check their gameplay and ask yourself those questions, just like how we did with Impala, right? They have literally studied this shit, bro, to a disgusting level, honestly, so that they can win in a tournament, okay? Like, you don't know what these guys have been through to win a Brawlhalla tournament. Like, that shit is not easy, bro. Holy fucking shit. Which means, like, bro, they got all the answers for you, bro. Number 6. Learn how to play neutral and the neutral options of your weapon. Now, the previous section that we've just covered here, which is section 5, is literally how you play neutral, okay? It's by knowing the distance that you want to create and then choosing the right attack depending on your situation. And so you can count this section as a little bonus, right? I just wanted to go in more details here because this is the fundamentals of the game. And if you don't understand it to a good level, you will always struggle to perform at your best. I discussed this very briefly earlier when we talked about the attacks, remember how I mentioned neutral? And now I want to go in a bit more details here so that you can get the best out of this guide, okay? I don't want to leave you clueless on anything. When you're fighting your opponents, the timing and choice of your attacks is going to be different based on your situation. When you are in a disadvantage, you want to avoid attacking, but instead put yourself in a better situation using your movements. When you are in neutral, by the way, if you don't know what neutral is kind of like this state where no player have an advantage over the other, okay? Basically, no one is in danger of getting hit. And so, in this situation, you break neutral by using a safe attack in your weapon, like the safest attack, you know? If you don't know what breaking neutral means, it's when the situation drifts from both players being equal, which is like neutral, to now one of the 2 players having an advantage over the other. That's why it's called like breaking neutral, right? And so right now, I want you to ask yourself, what is the best, safest move in your weapon that you're gonna break neutral with, the move that you're gonna use the most, right? This attack need to have some characteristics, which is, comes out fast, you're not stuck for so long when you miss, can lead to combos and strings, and preferably doesn't move your character, right? What is the attack in your weapon that is the safest and have these characteristics that I've just mentioned, and then use it the most to break neutral? I'm repeating myself here, but remember how we did with Impala earlier with blasters down air? That's exactly what you need to do, okay? Blasters down air have these characteristics. That's why he used it the most, right? When you are in an advantage, it's here where you can go for riskier options like blasters, delights, as we saw earlier, and use these moves that have longer range and higher force and can lead to true combos and so much, right? It's only when you are in the advantage is when you think about attacking and going for riskier options. This border shows the different advantages and disadvantages that you can be in. I've mentioned this border in the full neutral guide that I've made previously, and there are two things that I forgot to mention in the video. First is that missing an attack is a disadvantage that goes to the right side of the border, okay? It goes into the right side. Second, when you land an attack, you should not extend. Go for a maximum of 2 attacks. You can go for 3 attacks, honestly, but 95% of the time your opponent will escape the third one. So for short, what I mean by this is that when you manage to attack your opponent and actually land it, do not go for a second one unless the combo have very low frames, or if it's true, or you know your opponent's habit. For example, you know where he's gonna dodge, right? So instead of extending, what you can do is creating a short distance between you and the opponent and observe very carefully. Literally keep your eye on your opponent and look at what they're gonna do and be prepared to attack instead of going all in right away, right? If you do what I've just said here, right, you will be able to land that third attack, that fourth attack, that fifth attack, because just by waiting that half a second or a second between each attack, you give your brain a moment to look and think and find a new opportunity instead of hoping and wishing that your string hit the opponent, right? Just remember this when you land your attacks, okay? You have an advantage. When you have an advantage, your goal is to profit from it as much as possible. But when you extend your string and go for the third attack or the fourth attack, you just wasted that advantage for no reason, and now you're back to neutral, right? Because you missed an attack and so you're in stun frames, and your opponent just got hit and so he's in stun frames as well, and so both of you are in stun, which means it's neutral and no one really have the advantage, right? So that was it for this video. Honestly, this fucked me up so badly. Yeah, you better fucking like and subscribe, do all that YouTube bullshit, right? Holy fucking shit. Anyway, first link in the description if you want to rank up fast right now. Literally, I had a guy who got fucking 300 elo in like a matter of like a week. It's disgusting, bro. Check it out, man. And yeah, see you the next one. Take care, bro.